I said, you know what Ben says all the time. It's hero time. And she said, it's hero time. And her parents started to cry because it was the first time that she talked to anybody.
If you've ever watched an anime, cartoon, or played a video game, no doubt at some point you'd have come across Paul Eiding. He has a very distinct voice that you'll always recognize, and it's great to hear such a master at work.
Your role, that is, mission, is to infiltrate the structure and disarm the terrorists.
My role? Why do you keep saying that?
Why not? This is a type of role-playing game.
Nowhere left to run.
I wasn't running, Chief. I was looking for the egg machine.
My main exposure to Paul is through Max Tennyson, Ben 10's granddad from the original Ben 10 series, all the way up to Omniverse in 2016. I was so interested in getting a minute with Paul to talk about his career, and I've managed to grab a sneaky little interview of him earlier this year that I'd love to share with you today.
I'm a stage actor. That was actually my first love. I started out on stage doing mainly musicals, did a lot of musicals, and straight plays, that sort of thing, and did a lot of that when I was still in Ohio, where I'm from.
How did you end up getting involved in Ben 10 in the first place? Was it something that somebody brought you in on, or was it something you saw an audition for, or how did it end up starting?
It was an audition.
Yeah,
it was an audition sent to my agent. She sent me in for it. And I knew the woman who was directing it because she had directed me in several other things. And when I got that, the same casting director, I never get excited when they say, "Oh, you're doing this show." I never get excited until I'm actually there recording it, because this same casting director had worked at Hanna-Barbera, and she called me one time, many years ago, and said, "You got this gig. We're doing 52 episodes." It was like 52 episodes. Oh my God, it was a Saturday morning cartoon. And I was overjoyed. I mean, that's a lot of work, 52 shows. So I was really excited. And then 3 days before they were going to shoot, I got a call from my agent first, and then she called and said, "Paul, I'm so sorry. Hanna-Barbera has decided to use 3 actors to do all the characters." It's like, oh, to save money, because these 3 actors could do all these different characters. It happened to be Frank Welker and Jonathan, oh God, what's his name? Oh, it was a very great comic actor on TV, Jonathan Winters. And who had a billion characters in him. And I think Charlie Adler. All these guys were massive talents. And a lot of us could do 5, 6, 7 different characters. But so 52, I saw little dollar bills on wings flying away. So when I got the call that I got Ben 10, it was like, okay, I'm going to wait till I get there.
Don't celebrate too early.
Yeah. And even then, when I got there, when we recorded our first session, they wanted, originally Grandpa Max was had just a hint of a twang to him. They wanted kind of a folksy feel. So I had just a little bit of just a tiny bit of twang to him. Now, Ben, you can't do that, son. That sort of thing. And I wasn't happy with it. Just didn't sound good. The acting wasn't good. And then we did another episode, same way. Then the third episode, they said, "Paul, can you stay after the session?" And I said, "Okay, God, here it goes." because I just didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like what it sounded like. And they said, okay, let's play with this. Let's do this, do it this way. Let's do it that way. Let's do it this way. Until finally we came up with Grandpa Max just being just a deeper version of me. Now, Ben, come on, Ben. It's not important. It's more important that you know you did something right than other people know you did something right. So it was scary for me at the beginning. Yeah, so that was kind of, I thought, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. I suck. I'm a terrible actor, you know.
Oh, no. And after here, obviously I'm biased because it's been since 2005 we've had the one that we've got, but I can't imagine your voice with the twang for so long, you know, if for the whole series. I can't picture it.
Yeah.
No.
And you know, I had to re-audition
really
for Grandpa Max when Omniverse was it Omniverse? No, before Omniverse. When Ben went to 15 years old.
Alien Force.
Yeah, Alien Force. They had me come in and I had to re-audition, different producing team. And I had to re-audition because they said, well, Grandpa Max now it's 5 years later. So maybe Grandpa Max, maybe his voice isn't as powerful, or maybe there's more gravel or whatever. So I had to do it a little lighter. Ben, come on, Ben. And how about a little more gravel? Ben, come on, Ben. And back and forth. And finally he said, it's only 5 years. The kid's voice will change in 5 years, but an adult's voice isn't going to change that much in 5 years. So finally we came up with whatever we came up with. But it was really weird to have to re-audition for a show like that. The only thing I didn't like about Omniverse, I wasn't crazy about the redesign of Grandpa Max. They took my eyes away. I know it was more. It
was an odd decision.
Yeah, but I love doing it because I had to do different characters.
Yeah,
on a regular basis.
Did you work closely with the other cast members, or was it very much, you know, you're in the booth, then you go, and then the other person comes in, or was there sort of did you work as a team to make it, or?
No, the joy of that was we all were in the booth together. We were all in the room, which is, I think most actors will tell you that that's what they prefer, because there's not just the camaraderie of being a team, but you're in there. It's much easier to get a spontaneous reaction from someone if you hear their line right there, instead of imagining how they're going to say their line. You can you can respond in a more honest way, I think. So we were all in there together, and it was great fun. The bad thing is that sometimes it might slow things down because there's a lot of laughter that happens. But I think that helps the show. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why the Transformers still lasted as long as it did, and still does. Some of the writing wasn't that stellar. The animation wasn't that stellar, but we were all in the booth together. We were all, sharing those moments, and I think I just prefer that.
How did it feel being one of the very few voices left from the original set that are in the main cast?
Yeah. Truth. It was a little weird at first, and because Grandpa Max wasn't a regular, he would come and go. And I'm just being flat out straight up with you. It wasn't. There was a different feel. I didn't. If you're not there all the time, you feel like you're a guest in the show. When I was doing guest stars on TV shows, there are certain shows that that you're part of the group. Other shows, that you're there for a particular reason. and you're not really part of the whole. You're no one's mean or nasty or anything like that. It's just a different feel.
Yeah.
And for a while, that's the way it felt in Alien Force, because some of the folks knew each other beforehand, but it was never uncomfortable, or there was nothing negative. It was just a different feeling than it was from the get-go with everybody. It got better, especially back in Omniverse. Even with new faces, it was just wonderful. Just great fun. So much so it hurt that I wasn't part of the reboot. Because Grandpa Max and Ben 10, Grandpa Max, I really loved Grandpa Max. He meant a lot to me because he's, I've said this before, he's everything that I would want to be, you know? It's all about love. It's all about caring about his family. And he's also tough now. He can kick butt when he has to. His head is on the right way. He's an honorable man. And I've done enough voiceovers in video games of ultimate evil, you know, that sort of thing, that I've turned down playing devil characters. And to have something put out in there in ethos that's positive. Yeah, I just feel blessed. I feel very lucky to have been able to be part of the franchise. I really am. I don't take any of this for granted. And I remember from when I first came out here, and those more mature actors would tell me, you know, savor it while you can, because it won't last. It just can't. So anytime you have a moment like Ben 10 and Grandpa Max, I love Grandpa Max. I loved doing the show, and it's also because of the folks I was working with. I mean, Tara and Yuri and Bumper and David, all these folks, you know, just stellar individuals, you know. So you miss that. You miss getting together. You miss hanging out with the crew. So that's the backside of it, as well as what's in the forefront for the. I was sitting at home many years ago, well, 10, 11 years ago. And I got a phone call, and it was from this teenage girl who lived in a small town in Oklahoma. And she said, "Hello, you don't know me, but I just," because I'm listed in the phone book. It's like I'm not hiding. And so she tracked me down, and she said, "You don't know me, but I love Ben 10, and I love Grandpa Max. Can you talk to my mom?" And I said, "Sure." So she put her mother on, and her mother gave her permission to call me. And her mother was a nurse. She had severe diabetes, so bad that she had to be on insulin and regularly, so she wasn't going to school. But she was getting better. Anyway, her dad, Grandpa Max, reminded her of her father. And her dad had died like several months before. So Grandpa Max was her dad now, as far as she was concerned. Mm-hmm. And she said, and her mom said, "Do you mind if she calls you every once in a while?" And I said, "Of course not," you know. So we struck up a friendship. She went on DeviantArt and would draw pictures of Grandpa Max and Ben 10. and do these different things. And we have been friends on Facebook ever since. She let me know her first day of college, she was very excited that she was actually healthy enough that she went to college. She is in her senior year now. It's taken her a few years, longer than normal, but she's in her senior year now. And all of that is because our friendship is all because of Ben 10. And to watch her change over the years, I never know what color her hair will be when I see her, which I love. And she's now a dear friend. We've never met in person, but she knows that I'm here and that I know that she's there and that she's doing great, and that's because of Ben 10. So that gives you an idea of what I feel about Ben 10, about Grandpa Max. Also, hey, listen, Ben 10 got me invited to New Zealand to do a con, got me invited to Australia several times, actually to New Zealand a few times, because in New Zealand and in Australia, at its height, Ben 10 had live stage shows. They would do live stage shows, the way Sesame Street would do here in the States. People would get dressed up in different costumes. They'd have sound effects and visual effects going on stage, and they would do the show live for a full audience. It was massive. Oh God, it just came to. I was in New Zealand, and there was a mom and dad there with a little girl who was, I think, 7 or 8 at the time. And I'm going to have a hard time with this. She was on the spectrum, and they said that she said she loves the show. It's something that we all sit and watch together, and she'll watch episodes over and over and over again. And but she doesn't speak. She won't speak to people. And I don't remember what I would be making it up, but I don't remember what I said to her. But I said something to her as Grandpa Max. Something that, I did. I said, what Ben says all the time, it's hero time. And she said, it's hero time. And her parents started to cry because it was the first time that she talked to anybody. She would talk at home, but she just never talked away from, and she wasn't talking to me before. When we were talking, I was talking to the parents, she wasn't saying anything, but when I spoke to her as Grandpa Max. Oh, and I also I should have had it out. Wait a minute, don't go away.
All right. Brilliant. I did wonder if you'd have one.
I was wearing this because the cosplay people said, look, if we made you a Grandpa Max shirt, this is like the shirt that Grandpa Max wore those first years.
Yeah.
Would you wear it? And I said, are you kidding me? For the kid? Absolutely, I will wear it. So I was sitting there wearing my Grandpa Max shirt. And when I talked to her and she spoke back, it's like, okay, I'm done. That's when an actor can have that kind of a reaction from a child. It's like, okay, you don't need to pay me. That's enough. I'm happy. Yeah. So those are the kind of things that really mean a lot to you. When you realize that you're not just selling toys, you're not just selling, soap or whatever as the line goes. no matter whatever you're doing, something you're doing means something to someone. That's why I do what I do.
I was going to ask, obviously, you aren't in the reboot as Grandpa Max. Were you approached? How did that sort of happen? I don't, what happened there?
Yeah, I don't want to badmouth anybody. I don't want to. I'll tell you quickly. I got an audition from my agent. The audition said, we're looking for Grandpa Max and different aliens. No voice matches necessary. And she sent me the audition. My agent did. She said, I'm only going to submit you because you're Grandpa Max. And I said, they don't want me. It's clear they don't want me because it says no sound alikes. They want something different. So I said, no, I'm not going to do this because it's clear I'm not what they're looking for. So I wouldn't audition. And then I don't know why, at one point, I got notified by my agent that they've asked me to come in to audition for Grandpa Max. So I said, okay. I didn't think I knew they didn't want me.
No.
Why? But I said, okay, if they ask for it, I'll go in. So I went in to read, and they said, oh, good, Paul, that was great. That was great. Could you make him sound younger? So I did a little bit lighter, not as much, brought his volume vocally up a little bit, and no gravel. So, hey, Ben, how you doing, Ben? Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. And I knew they were doing it, I don't know, to be nice, or because someone said it's not okay that we didn't bring him in. I don't know why they did. But I knew when I went that they didn't want me. So it's like, okay. So it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
No.
Someone asked me, oh, how do you like the new show? I said, sorry, I don't watch it. I'll tell you this much. The people doing the show, the actors doing the show, I love. The guy who's doing my voice, David, is a great guy and a wonderful actor. I love the man. So I never get upset with an actor who does a role that I've done. Because I've taken over roles for people, and for whatever reason. I never blame the actor. But listen, I got one actor, Steve Bloom, told me, he said, I got this audition, but I'm not going to audition for it if you don't want me to. I said, no, go for it, Steve. I don't care, man. Somebody's going to get it. And I would rather have somebody I care about get the role. In the first incarnation of Ben 10, the writing established everything that was to come for all the seasons, as far as I'm concerned. And that's with Dwayne McDuffie was amazing. He was the head of all of it. He and Charlotte, his wife, really laid the groundwork for everything that came after, I think. It was a massive loss when he passed away in his late 40s. It was just a huge loss because he was such a brilliant writer. Yeah, so that was a big one. But I think everything that happened after was all based on what he started, and I think that's it's a testament to his intelligence, his writing, and his care and his love for the show. He really loved that show and loved working on it.
Did you sort of draw from any characters or people that you knew in your life, or for the role, or was it just very much?
No, basically it's who I am. I'm just that firm, fair, tough guy. Get my daughters in here and see what they think. No, I didn't draw from any. I can't think of any other character. I think I basically, it's the man I want to be, the man I hope that I am. I didn't have my mother and father got a divorce. The divorce was final the day I was born. So I never met my father. I had a grandfather, but he was always working. So I didn't have a strong male figure in my life. So I was determined to be the best dad I could be.
Thanks so much for watching. If you like more of my content, I've got a TikTok full of short videos and a website full of blogs, so feel free to check either of them out. They'll be linked in the description below.